This video earned the PowerDirector University stamp of approval. Hey PowerDirector peeps, how y'all doing out there? My name is Maliek and I'm back on your screen with more PowerDirector love, that PowerDirector love you need from PowerDirector University. Today we're going to go ahead and do a tutorial on the timestamp effect using PowerDirector 15 Ultimate. So let's jump off into the software and make it happen. Here we are in PowerDirector 15 Ultimate. I want to remind you guys to subscribe to PowerDirector University to get great tips and tricks on editing with PowerDirector every Saturday. Let's make this timestamp thing happen. So a while back, I created a timecode tutorial and I made a faux pas during that tutorial, and I stated that PowerDirector 15 Ultimate did not have timecode functionality. That's not true. And guess what? Some of my peeps went ahead and called me out on it, and I appreciate them for doing that. First off, your boy Cranston hit me off on the PowerDirector forum with a PM, and he just basically was very nice and said something like, the timestamp functionality might suit people's purposes when creating timecode. He's right, and I appreciate him for it. And then your boy Hayati hit me off with a YouTube comment stating, I have a timecode function in PD14, and he's right, it's there. So I want to thank Cranston, Hayati, and the rest of the PowerDirector community for keeping me honest. So whenever there's something going on and I make a mistake or whatever, they call me on it, and that's good because it helps me learn. And then also, sometimes I forget things and I don't know everything. I'm not the all-knowing PowerDirector guru. I know a lot, but there's some people out there who know just as much or more than I do, and we need to work together to build this village and build this community so that we can all build and improve upon our editing skills with PowerDirector. So thanks to all of you out there in the community. Let's get it cracking. The first thing I want to do is make sure that my timeline is set up appropriately. So I want this to be a 24 frames per second timeline, and I'm going to export my video at 24 frames per second. So I'm going to go up here to set user preferences. I'm going to go to the general section. And then under timeline frame rate, I'm going to leave mine set to 24 frames per second. If you want to choose another frames per second, you might choose 30 frames per second, 50 or 60. And some of these have drop frame time code. So if you choose 30 frames per second, then the drop frame time code will be enabled. And what that means is that most clips in the NTSC region are not 30 frames per second. They're actually 29.97 frames per second. And what that means is that the program will need to drop a few frames in order to create your timeline to an actual 29.97 frames per second. If you don't want drop frames, then you would choose no, and then it would really be 30 frames per second. As I stated, I want mine to be 24 frames per second, so I'm going to select that. And now I'm going to click on OK. So now you need to know what your clip frame rate is. You might already know that, so you can skip this part if you want. But if you don't know what the frame rate is of your clip, you got it online somewhere, somebody gave it to you, then one way you can find out is by going up to the library and right-clicking on the clip, going to View Properties, and then under the video section, you will see your frame rate. The frame rate for this clip is 24 frames per second. I need to know that because I need to match up my timecode frame rate with the same frame rate as the clip so that they stay in sync. So now that I know what my frame rate for my clip is, I know what frame rate to make my timecode. So I'm going to click on Close. And now I need to go ahead and apply the timestamp to my video. So I'm going to go up here to Effects. I'm going to go down to Text Masking. And then I'm going to go to Timestamp. I'm going to left click and hold down my left mouse button. And I'm going to drag this down here. Now I can drag it onto the clip if I want to, and it'll make the clip turn yellow because it's telling me I'm over that clip, and I will apply it to it. Or I can apply it to the effects track. For this tutorial, I'm going to apply it to the effects track. So now that I have it on the track, I need to make it be the same duration as the clip. The easy way to do that is just to trim it. So if I move my cursor down to the edge of this effect until it turns into 2 arrows, I can hold down my left mouse button and I can drag this back until the playhead turns blue, which means that it is aligned with the clip above it, and now I can let go of the mouse and they're the same duration. So for this tutorial, I'm going to create a countdown and I'm going to create a timer to time the activity. So in order to do that with this one clip, I want to place the playhead in a position where the countdown will stop and where I will start timing the activity. I'm going to place my playhead somewhere around here and somewhere where it looks like she's just about to take off. And I think this is pretty good actually right here. So I am on the clip, and for this clip, I am at 2 seconds and 15 frames. I need to remember this because I need to use this for my countdown information. So 2 seconds and 15 frames. So I need to click on the timeline so that I can deselect any of these clips. And now I'm going to go up here to the split button, and it says split timeline. So now it'll split the clip and anything else on the timeline, including the effect that's underneath it. So I'm going to click on split, and now they're both split. So now what I need to do is go into the effect and change up some stuff. So I'm going to click on the first effect, and I'm going to go to modify. Now the first thing I want to do is change the position of the time code because you can barely see it up here. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on position. And now I'm going to place my cursor over this little red dot until it turns to a hand. Hold down my left mouse button and drag it to where I want it. Now I want to make sure that this is inside of the safe zone because I want it to be visible. So I'm going to click on the toggle for TV safe zone and grid lines. I'm going to go to TV safe zone and I'm going to turn that on. So I'm inside of this rectangle, so that means that it will be visible. Might even want to move it a little bit. Okay, I like it there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back off. And now I'm going to click on OK. So I can barely see the background. If you want a background, you can add one. Here the background opacity is currently set to 0, so you can adjust that with the slider, or you can type in the amount. And as you adjust it, you'll see the background starts to become more visible. I'm just going to go all the way over. And then if you want to, you can also change the background color. So if you click on background color, it brings up all the different choices here. You can change the background as you wish. It's all good. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top and go through some of these settings. So the first one is frames per second. As I stated, I want to make sure that this matches. So I know it's not 30, it's 24. So you can use your slider, or you can type in the number that you want. This one is going to be a countdown, so I need to reverse time. So in order to do a countdown, I need to check this box. And then we have our time code. So this is the number that I want to start my time code at. And as you remember, the position where I split the clip was at 2 seconds and 15 frames. And so since this is a countdown, I know that I need to count from 2 seconds and 15 frames back down to 0. So I'm going to add those numbers here, 2 seconds and 15 frames. So now you see it's starting at 2 seconds and 15 frames, and it'll reverse count down to 0. So next we have the text opacity. So I can change the opacity of the text if I want to. We have format. So the format right now is set to hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. You have the option of doing hours, minutes, and seconds, and minutes, seconds, and frames. I'm going to choose minutes, seconds, and frames for this. We already talked about the background opacity, but we didn't talk about the separator. So the separator can be a baseline, it can be a colon, comma, dash, dot, space, all kind of good stuff. I'm going to leave it set to colon. So then we have the hour symbol. So right now it's set to 24 hours. You can do 12 hours with AM, PM. You can do 12 hours. And based on which one of the formats you choose, it'll change based on that. Right now I have it set to minutes, seconds, and frames, so it's not going to really be a big change. But if I set it to hours, anything with hours in it, then you would see a difference when you select the different settings. I'm going to leave it on 24 hours and move it back to minutes, seconds, and frames. And then you can change the font of the digits. You can click on this and you can choose the different fonts that you want, bold, italic, the size, all of that good stuff. And then you can also change the text color. So if you wanted to change the color, you can do it there. And those are all of those settings. So I'm done with this, so you can either close it out if you want to, but since I'm going to also be doing a timing of the activity, I'm just gonna click on this timestamp effect here, and now make the changes I need to make here. So this one will be counting upwards. So I don't need to check reverse time, and I'm actually starting at 0, so I don't need to type in anything for the timecode number. What I do need to do is change the frame rate to 24 frames per second. And I want this to match hours, seconds, and minutes. I'm going to move my background opacity all the way up. And I'm going to change the position . Make sure it's in the safe zone. So now we have the timestamp countdown on the left and then the timing of the activity on the right. So I'm going to close this out. And if I place my playhead at the beginning here and I press my space bar on my keyboard to play this, you'll see it count down to 0 and then you'll see it start to count up. And that's it, people. You got your timestamp on your video in PowerDirector 15 Ultimate. All right, PowerDirector peeps, I want to thank you so much for watching this video all the way through to the end. It truly means the world to me. Now, I want to send a shout out to one of our subscribers, Asian Nomad. Asian Nomad makes travel videos and how-to videos. So if you're into travel or you just want to learn how to do some stuff, head on over to his channel. Check out a couple of his videos, and if you're feeling what he's dealing, make sure that you subscribe to ACN Nomad. If you want to receive a shout out like ACN Nomad did, make sure that you head over to the video description and fill out our shout out request form. If you have a tutorial that you'd like us to make, head over to the video description and complete our tutorial request form, and then we will consider whether we will make that tutorial or not, or if we'll keep it moving with some other type of tutorials. Now that I'm done with that, I need you to do a few things for me. The thumb. The one that's pointed in the upward direction. Make sure that you click on it because it lets people know that the content in this video is good. If you got any comments, questions, whatever you want to do, chop it up with your boy, just talk, leave those things in the comment section below. And last but not least, smash that subscribe button. And after you do that, click on the bell. When you click on the bell, you receive notifications every time I upload content to YouTube. And that way you don't miss out on any of the learning and all of the fun. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.